हाँ जी, मोहक जी, क्या हाल चाल है? कैसे हो आप? क्या कर रहे थे आप? कहाँ हो आप? क्यों हो आप? दिल्ली में क्यों हो आप? ये सारी चीज़ें बताओ, फिर हम शुरुआत करते हैं बढ़िया नॉर्मल रैंडम चिट चैट से। हम टेलिंग यू अभी इसमें कुछ ना मतलब ज़्यादा पॉलिटिकल और या फिर ज़्यादा कुछ तंग करने वाले सवाल नहीं पूछूंगा। आई एम नॉट श्योर इफ़ यू हैव सीन एनी एपिसोड ऑफ द पॉडकास्ट और नॉट, बट हम जो भी चिट चैट करते हैं बहुत ही नॉर्मल, एकदम प्यारी सी अच्छी सी बातें होती हैं।
That's good यार, ठीक है। अभी मेरा I was about to tell निशांत कि तुमने 9 से 11 बजे रखा है, not a night owl at all.
हाँ।
It's good to know कि तुम पॉलिटिक्स की कम से कम बातें नहीं करोगे।
मतलब अगर मैं ये नहीं कह रहा हूँ कि मैं नहीं करूँगा, अगर करते करते आगे तो मैं मना नहीं करूँगा, बट मैं ज़बरदस्ती नहीं घुसाऊंगा। देखो
हाँ ठीक है। यार Delhi is home, so I'm right now at home, but I'm going to the US after this in about like say 2 weeks time.
क्या करना है?
Study.
Oh, you're going to study?
Studying.
How old are you?
Yeah. 29.
29. What are you going to study?
MBA.
कहाँ पे? मैं बहुत ही इंट्रूसिव हो जाऊंगा मजे में।
No, that's fine. Stanford.
Stanford. Oh my God, dude! You're going to Stanford to study MBA. That is like the ideal dream. मतलब जो भी MBA करना चाहता है, ये हार्वर्ड। मेरा एक दोस्त है, अभी उसने GMAT दिया, ठीक है, उसका 750 का स्कोर आ गया है और अब वो बहुत एक्साइटेड है कि वो 2 साल बाद अपना वर्क एक्स निपटा के सीधे यहीं कहीं जाएगा। तो आई विल रेफर दिस पॉडकास्ट टू हिम कि देखो मोहक तो जा चुका है, अब तो मोटिवेशन लेके जाओ। बट
श्योर है।
बट ठीक है, यू आर फ्लाइंग इन 2 weeks. आई हैव अनदर फ्रेंड हु इज फ्लाइंग टू प्रिंसटन ऑन द 5th. मेरे को भी यही करना है यार, इवेंचुअली एंड में जाके मतलब और 2-3 साल बाद बाहर जाओ और दोबारा से पढ़ो। बट टेल मी, हाउ डू यू हैव दिस जोश टू स्टडी एट 29?
Like it was driven by my wife. So I'm married, and she wanted to do an MBA.
Okay.
And and she was like, क्योंकि मेरे पास I had done a master's पहले economics में, so I wasn't like okay I have to get another degree or something. I didn't feel the need to. So she was the one who wanted to do it, and we were discussing about it. Like about 2 years ago, we started discussing it, and then a year ago we applied. But I just felt like, unlike a lot of other YouTubers, like I've never defined myself as a YouTuber. क्योंकि जब मैंने start भी किया था, except the last 1.5 months, I've only worked on my YouTube channel part time. So I've always had a job, and I did this on the side. तो मेरे मन में ये नहीं था कि YouTube is my calling और मुझे यही करना है, and this is my identity and say source of income, ठीक है, and more importantly identity. And I just feel like, I mean, I was quite lucky to get into like the place that I wanted to, and I just don't want to constrict myself that okay, YouTube is everything. Before this I was pursuing economics and like jobs in that field. I'm not interested in that anymore. I love doing YouTube, but like can I do it for the next 10-20 years? I don't know. Like maybe tomorrow I wake up and like I'm just bored of making videos, right? So I just feel like an MBA would like just help me explore other opportunities. Like who knows? I mean maybe मैं YouTube ही करूँगा, but I don't know.
अभी हमें रिकॉर्ड कर दो 3.5 मिनट हुए हैं एंड मेरे को सारी चीज़ें मिल गई हैं ना सवाल पूछने के लिए भी, जिसमें मेरे में अंदर बहुत जिज्ञासा। सो आई एम गोइंग टू अपोलोजाइज राइट अवे बिकॉज मैं बहुत स्टूपिड सवाल भी पूछने वाला हूँ, तो यू जस्ट बी प्रिपेयर्ड टू आंसर व्हाटएवर। तो मेरा आई टेल यू गिव यू सम कॉन्टेक्स्ट बिफोर वी लाइक बिगिन। आई ओनली डिस्कवर्ड योर चैनल recently after you did that live stream with Shwetab actually.
Okay.
The Shwetab and Dhruv वाला live stream, उसके बाद I actually ended up discovering your channel and I was very surprised कि यार ऐसे कैसे हो सकता है कि I've not seen his work पहले। तो give me some context and tell me more about your YouTube का story. Tell me more about your YouTube story and then we'll get into your MBA likes, dislikes. ये जो क्योंकि excitement जो है ना, जो I can see on your face to go to study to Stanford for your MBA at 29, this is something I deeply resonate with. तो मेरे को उसके बारे में ज़्यादा बात करनी है, इसलिए YouTube वाला पहले फटाफट से निपटा देते हैं। तो प्लीज़ enlighten me.
Okay. So I started this YouTube channel with 2 of my other friends. So originally there were 3 of us who started the YouTube channel, and we were just like annoyed कि Indian media, like they're not covering the issues that we value. Or like there's just so much fake news, so much drama, like over dramatized news, like the usual things that you'll hear. So we like why don't we start making videos that inform people. तो हमारा ये motivation था basically.
How long ago was this?
This was around 3 years ago.
Acha, okay.
So all of us were doing this part time. Like all of us had jobs and we were doing it part time. तो तब YouTube के बारे में यार कुछ भी नहीं पता था, ठीक है ना? Like we didn't have much clue कैसे होता है क्या होता है. We just started making videos. जब frequency नहीं थी, like we would make one video in 2 weeks or something like that, 2-3 weeks. We just started ठीक है, like I think 1/3 or 4th video did well, better than expected. Then we like, okay, this is working, let's keep doing it. Or so the two of my other friends, like they just found it like quite challenging to balance job and the YouTube channel, and like as most people would.
Let's be honest, it is very challenging.
Yeah, I mean doing it like forget like balancing something else, like doing it on its own can be quite challenging, right? So both of them kind of like dropped off slowly, and I ran with it. I was like, nahi yaar karte hain, and like I was just like, I guess the passion ran through it. तो वो किया है यार, like just started making these videos on politics, employment, economy. Like there was obviously like that time was okay, Geo was everywhere, so like you will see people are like there's so many content creators coming on. Like I think a lot of people have the same story, right? 3-4 साल पहले like YouTube got a boom. Dhruv was already there, and so I'm like, oh, he's making videos, so that's a good sign, right? Like so can like other people. So tab start kiya, and then like I guess one by one just kind of grew on its own. I think what I did is just persistence, like, and you'll know like YouTube just rewards persistence. So तुम्हें 100-50 videos बनाने, मेरे लिए like my source of income was never YouTube. I had a job. तो मेरे लिए नहीं था कि मुझे YouTube में जाना है या तो famous होने के लिए या फिर पैसे कमाने के लिए. I just said कि it's like a hobby, you know, like pastime में अच्छा है, attention divert हो रहा है किसी productive चीज में, so let's do. And then it just kept growing, and I switched jobs, but it was never like, oh, I'm a YouTuber, you know, like only now I feel maybe in the last 2-3 months क्योंकि मैं बस YouTube कर रहा हूँ. Like I quit my job 2-3 months ago. So then it's the first time in 2-3 years where I'm only doing YouTube. So then it feels, oh shit, like that is my life right now, you know, like so that is it. Like I really like making videos. I really like the research process. I love like when people say, hey, thanks for telling like, you know, like comments, like when I made videos on COVID vaccine and like people messaged that hey, you know, my aunt wasn't convinced that she should get vaccinated. I showed her your video. Like that's the best part about it. And yeah, I feel it's been an organic journey. I haven't made plan, like, you know, like people in my team or like anyone would ask, okay, what are your plans in the future? And I'm like, bhai, koi plan nahi hai. Like I just do it like week by week ki kya videos interesting. But I don't
have you always been like this though, without मतलब बिना प्लान के चीज़ें करना? Tell me, where does this I have 2 questions, ठीक है? सबसे पहला तो where does this interest come from in politics or economics? हाँ, and the second one, have you always been like this कि मेरे को कुछ प्लान नहीं करना है, let's just wing it, let's see how and where the flow of life takes me?
I'll answer the second question first. Yes, so I have been like, so it's not been like कि चलो मुझे 2 साल में ये जॉब करनी है फिर इधर से उधर जाना है, ऐसा नहीं था. Like I've never really planned it. So yes, I am someone who would like go with the flow. The channel वैसे ही start हुआ था ये. Like I would, if you ask my friends who would be the last among us to start anything on social media, they'd see me. Like I've never been on social media. I didn't have a Facebook account till like 2016 or 2017. And like I was on no social media platforms.
Why so? Why so? It's very curious. It's very intriguing.
I was an introvert. Yeah, I still am, and I just felt like weird posting my photos and like, yeah.
Yeah, I get it. Continue. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, so I've always been like someone who didn't plan. So like, would plan everything. Like obviously you plan to some extent, पर इतना नहीं कि मुझे 2 साल तक करना है ये. So that's how YouTube channel, and that's how I feel like it's been a good journey. I like making videos, but I don't want to like restrict myself कि मुझे ये number चाहिए, कि वो number चाहिए, कि मुझे 20 लोग, या मुझे company बनानी है, या ऐसा कुछ करना है.
But throughout school, throughout your college, throughout your first masters, throughout your job, throughout your this abhi MBA wala switch as well, you've never planned particularly. That was the more मतलब थोड़ा detailed question. Like right from when you were young, have you always been someone who plans things कि मेरे को look forward करना है इन चीज़ों के लिए, or do you just wing it?
यार, in retrospect, it's very easy to say कि I planned it, but to be honest, I didn't. Like, my first job was by accident. Like, I landed up.
How? Tell me that story. मैं इसलिए पूछ रहा हूँ ये सवाल because I'm relating so hard on this because I have never planned things in my life particularly ऐसे. Wherever I have, whatever I have done, वो सब ऐसे ही हुआ है by chance, by accident, by it being a factor of me just being in 100 places and some of them clicking. So that is why I sense that within you, इसलिए मैं पूछ रहा हूँ. तो हाँ, tell me about your first job. What did you do in your undergrad? Economics?
Economics.
कहाँ से?
Singapore Management University. SMU.
वाओ, बढ़िया, ठीक है, अच्छी बात है. मुझे लगा SRCC बोलोगे पर सिंगापुर वाला इज बेटर. बढ़िया लगा मेरे को. हाँ, बट कंटिन्यू. सॉरी. SRCC is a lot better.
So yeah, my first job was in Bihar, but like I didn't know like a year ago that I would end up in Bihar.
हाँ, तो ये तो इंटरेस्टिंग स्टोरी है, सुनाओ.
I was just interested in, there's a subsection of economics called development economics, which is related to poverty alleviation, basically. So उसमें मेरा interest था. In college it developed because of one class and I really liked that class. And one of my professors told me that if you really want to pursue this field, what's the one thing that you should definitely do is be in the field. So which means like where you're actually doing the projects on the ground, which is like rural India, rural Africa, whatever, wherever. Like, so because you can be either in the field, you can collect data, or you can be someone who's on a laptop anywhere in the world who's just like analyzing that data. So you don't need to be in rural Bihar for that. You can be in Boston, you can be in New York, Delhi, Bombay, anywhere. So he said that, if you want to pursue in this field, you should definitely go to the field, actually see how the projects are run.
Yeah.
So उसने ये बोला था. So I didn't, and I was pretty sure I wanted to go to India. Because obviously, like, I understand the language, some context, I understand. Like, I didn't feel that I need to go to, say, Africa or somewhere.
Yeah.
So yeah, then I applied for jobs, and like, you kind of didn't. You could choose projects like in the organization that they ran projects in multiple states in India. But कई बार इतनी choice नहीं होती थी. Like you apply, like you put a general application and you give your preference of the project. So I ended up in Bihar. तो ये नहीं था यार कि मैंने बिहार प्लान किया था. It wasn't like that at all. I loved the experience. Then I went for my masters. And like I think it's been a very linear journey in the sense that most things came about, like I thought about them while I was doing the previous thing. So when I was in Bihar, I was like, okay, masters makes sense. Then I went for my masters. Then when I was doing my masters, there's a job opportunity came up in Myanmar. So then I moved to Myanmar. So I spent time there. Then I got married and my wife was in Singapore. So I moved to Singapore with her. And then the MBA happened like just because of the conversations we were having. So it's not like कि मैंने 6 साल पहले ही सोचा था कि मुझे MBA करना है. Like
I mean, in retrospect,
I mean, I think
it would look like it's planned and very linear, very straightforward. But it's only when you're going through it, you realize कि यार ठीक है, this sounds or looks like the next logical step, so let's do it.
Exactly. And like, I mean, there are benefits, and like, I think there are benefits in terms of it's, I think, a more flexible approach. But it seems to have worked out for me. Maybe it wouldn't work out for other people, but like मेरे तो ठीक रहेगा. So
सब बढ़िया चला है अभी तक, आगे भी बढ़िया चलता रहे. Where did you do your masters from? In economics, I'm assuming.
Yeah, economics.
So you've always been this overachiever. ये एकदम नहीं, nerd तो मैं नहीं बोल, मैं not your words, not mine, ठीक है. Nerd नहीं बोला मैंने.
No, but I'm a I'll self-identify myself as nerd. Yeah, I love studying.
You love studying?
Yeah.
School में भी? What was your I mean, अब तो मेरे को पता चल गया favorite subject economics है.
Actually, school में नहीं. It was my least hated subject.
It was your least hated subject.
Yeah.
But why not in school? ऐसा क्या हुआ school में?
I don't know, man. Like school में इतना interest नहीं था मेरे पढ़ाई में. Like maybe it's like मैं सब कुछ रट्टा मार के गया था boards में. Like even like science, which I feel like is very, क्या बोलूं, is very, what is the word I'm looking for? Very
Difficult.
intuitive, you know, like,
Science comes
no, you
intuitively
can
to
make,
you.
no, it can be, right? If you explain some physics or some chemistry
True.
process of how the world works, like it can be
हाँ,
intuitive. पर
that way, yes.
मैंने तो सब रट्टा मारा था, साइंस, इकोनॉमिक्स वगैरह.
मैंने तो 8th के बाद साइंस ही नहीं पढ़ी है. मैंने 9th से ही कॉमर्स पढ़ लिया था, तो मेरे को एकदम जीरो है साइंस में बिल्कुल. 5th तक मेरे को बड़ा मज़ा आता था साइंस में, बड़े अच्छे नंबर आते थे 96 97. फिर 6th में आके साइंस बिकेम फिजिक्स केमिस्ट्री एंड बायो, एंड देन माई इंटरेस्ट इन साइंस वेंट ऐसे एकदम ठप. फिर 9th में अपॉर्चुनिटी आई कि 9th में ही कॉमर्स स्विच कर लो, तो मैंने उसको ऐसे लपक लिया कि कॉमर्स ही पढ़ते हैं. बट ओके, आई वांट टू नो दिस अगेन, कमिंग बैक टू दिस इंटरेस्ट ऑफ योर्स इन economics. Where does that come from? Because very rare to see. I mean, I fortunately have been around people who have been interested in these very weird and different fields that not everyone likes. But I want to know from you, why this interest in economics?
Yeah, to be honest, in school when I was applying for college, तब ऐसा नहीं था कि बड़ा strong interest है. तब like I was like मैंने साइंस इसलिए ली थी क्योंकि ऐसा नहीं है कि मेरा कोई इंटरेस्ट था, क्योंकि मेरी बड़ी बहन ने साइंस ली थी. So then it's like, oh, you have to take, you also have. The only thing I just didn't want to take exactly what she did. So she did computers. That's the only reason why I chose कि मैं अपने साथ economics लूँगा. Like that was my motivation then. क्योंकि मुझे same नहीं करना था.
You wanted to stand out in some way. You wanted to stand out in the family in some way.
And after school, like it wasn't, तब बस ये था मोटिवेशन कि यार किस कॉलेज में मेरा एडमिशन होगा, लाइक क्या लेना पड़ेगा मुझे कि जिसमें ठीक कॉलेज में हो जाए. एंड आई जस्ट डिडंट फील कि मैथ पढ़ूंगा या इंग्लिश पढ़ूंगा या फिर इंजीनियरिंग करूंगा. लाइक आई डिडंट थिंक कि मेरे पास कोई चांस है. मुझे लगा था इकोनॉमिक्स में चांस है, सो लाइक दैट्स व्हाई आई चोज इकोनॉमिक्स. सो इट वाजंट लाइक अगेन अ वेल थॉट आउट कि हाँ इसमें मेरा पैशन है. लाइक इट वाज वेरी,
you saw the least common मतलब lowest hanging fruit and you were like पकड़ लो.
हाँ, तो वही मेरी लॉजिक थी. इतना कोई मैंने सोचा नहीं था इसमें.
But dude, if the least hanging fruit for you can turn out to be Singapore University, Yale and then Stanford, how does that feel to be an overachiever? How does it feel to be an overachiever? ये मेरा बहुत ही genuine सवाल है.
यार, I don't know man. I mean, I don't want to sound politically correct, but I just feel that I'm really privileged that the choices I made. Like, I'll give you an example. Like, I come from a pretty wealthy family. So, in undergrad, मेरे बहुत सारे friends जैसे उनको एक bond लेना होता है, which basically means you have to work. Singapore में you have to work for 3 years, but your fees are halved. ठीक है, but you have to work in Singapore. ठीक है. But I come from a privileged family, so I didn't have to take that bond. So I could pay the fees in full, which also meant that I can do these exciting jobs of going to rural Bihar. Like my other friends probably also had these things, right? So, I mean, I know it's politically correct. Like, I obviously I worked hard for whatever, but like I really think that it's like my privilege played such a big role in whatever I've achieved.
I mean, politically
MBA
correct तो हो
whatever.
ना हो, I mean, considering the kind of content that you make, you have to be थोड़ा politically correct वैसे भी. But नहीं,
No, but I genuinely believe in this. And I think like I just have been like you go into one. So like I think I got really lucky with my first job. Like I had like amazing colleagues, amazing managers. Like they were like so well, like they knew about the field really well, so they guided me. And you know, once you're in a good place, they guided me on what other steps I should take. Then I took those steps, worked hard, and then one thing led to another. So I think the first advantage was like I landed up a very good job which had great people and great mentors, and they played a big role in. मुझे कुछ नहीं पता था इस फील्ड के बारे में, डेवलपमेंट इकोनॉमिक्स के बारे में, कि मास्टर्स करूँ या नहीं करूँ. दे वुड गाइड मी, अच्छा तुम्हें पीएचडी इंटरेस्टेड हो तो ये मास्टर्स करनी चाहिए, 1 साल काम करो, उसके बाद अगर तुम्हें वर्ल्ड बैंक में काम करना है तो ये करो वो करो. सो आई हैड दैट गुड मेंटरशिप, like good mentors around me.
Was that
also played a big
was this job the first time you had to, how do I put it, sort of experience the contrast between the life that you had lived and the life that a majority of the Indian chunk of population lives?
Oh, for sure, yeah. I grew up in Delhi. Then moving to rural, like obviously I knew, like it's not like, you see
but you
Indian
don't
city,
experience it. You
feel,
see it, but you don't experience it.
exactly. Like you can safely ignore it. I think in Bihar also you can safely ignore it, but like because of the nature of my job, जिस organization के लिए मैं काम कर रहा था, उसका purpose ही ये है poverty alleviation. So you obviously have to see, you meet people.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean you always know कि यार कितनी गरीबी है इंडिया में, but like going there in the field and rural Bihar, like that's an experience that can't be taught in books, I feel.
Yeah, so
And
talk to me
I
about
got
it.
that.
Talk to me about it. How was that? I mean, जाओ 6-7 साल पीछे याद करो कैसा लगा था.
Yeah.
I want to know that story. I want to know this.
I mean, it was damn interesting, yeah. Like the job was such that firstly you're given it's almost like you run your own startup. So the objective of my job is to collect data. कि कोई भी प्रोजेक्ट है और आपको डेटा सर्वेस करने हैं बेसिकली, तो गांव में जाके लोग के सर्वेस करने हैं. सो यू हैव टू लाइक, but so I am responsible for collecting the data, but obviously I can't go to 400 villages on my own. And like speak to thousands of people. So then I have to build a team and hire a team. So like the process of survey, like hiring an 80-member team, like people who are like 10-20 years older to you, like the only advantage that you have is that you are educated. They don't have the degrees that I have. So then you are told by your manager, अच्छा ये survey है, इस ऐसे questions पूछने हैं, तो तुम्हें इनको train करना है. So you're training these people who are like 10-20 years older than you. You're building protocols कि कितने बजे सबको report करना है, कोई late होगा तो क्या होगा, know. And all of this in like a very different environment that I wasn't used to. So it was great that I got such a, like in most jobs लोगों को ऐसी leadership positions नहीं मिलती है, and I was just fortunate, like you make so many mistakes and just it's like a management job, right? Imagine you're managing such a big team as your first job.
Yeah.
That's your first job. So like you're so terrible for the first few weeks. Like tum khud hi, like I was 22 years old. Like what do I know about managing people? And I didn't even know कि मुझे करना क्या है इस job में. And then the manager steps in, then you just make so many mistakes and then you learn. Like so I think I value that a lot, like which is like building a team, managing a team. How do you solve conflicts? If you have 80 people, like obviously there'll be like conflicts and fights, and yeah. So I think
more than the management and the technical job part of it, I would rather assume that it was more of the empathy that you build for the people that you're working with. Not just the people that are in the leadership and the mentorship position, but the people that you're interacting with in the rural parts of the country. I mean, I think that वो जो empathy वहाँ पे built होती है, that would prove to be a more mind altering, एकदम एक थोड़ा direction देना mind को कि ये भी चीज़ें exist करती हैं. All my life, was there a moment of conflict within you anytime during that job? कि यार मैं क्या कर रहा था आपसे पहले, क्या दिखा मेरे को अब, क्या मैं जैसे स्वदेश में होता था. There was no स्वदेश moment.
Unfortunately or unfortunately इतनी कोई dramatic moment नहीं थी. I think my biggest takeaway was actually working. So जो मेरे team में लोग थे, like the people I had hired, like they were from Bihar. So जहाँ मैं survey करना था माननीय नालंदा district में, so we will hire most people from that district क्योंकि उनको ही जाना है गाँव में, उनको सारे रास्ते पता है, उनको language पता है, dialects पता है, तो वो सब. So like working with them was amazing because like we would stay in the same place. So we would eat together and then they would tell me, like with the actual villagers I didn't have a rapport क्योंकि यार our job was okay, you go there, you survey and then you come out.
उतना interaction नहीं होता.
अच्छा हाँ, and like the survey is very specific, ये questions हैं इनके पूछने. So then it's like ठक and then you go out. So my rapport was built with the team that I had hired, like just listening their stories and like, working together with them. Like we would sleep in the same place, eat together, go to the field together. So I think that's something that I cherish. Like those relations. I'm still in touch with a lot of them.
Oh, that's
and
great.
That's like, it's just,
still a very humbling and a very empathy-rising emotion.
Experience. Like they would take me to their villages and like be so happy that, he's come to a house and like they'll give me their best food and like Yeah,
This is the
like
thing.
all of
I
that
mean,
is so
it's a thing that a lot of
humbling.
Indians share.
Yeah,
वो जो हमारा सेंटिमेंट है कि गेस्ट को एकदम बढ़िया प्यार से अच्छे से रखना है. That's really
yeah.
good. How long were you at
And
this
like
job?
it's 1 year.
1 year. हाँ, continue please. You were saying.
Yeah. No, I was saying it's like, you know, in May, in the middle of May, we'll be in a village. So it's like 45 degrees and you're serving. And so serving is कि तुम्हें नाम पता है किसी का. मान लो वेदांत कौशिक, okay? Then you go to, you just enter a village, say कि वेदांत कौशिक का घर चाहिए. तो वो बताएंगे. So obviously it's not like, I don't even know तब Google Maps होता था या नहीं. You know, पूछ के जाना पड़ता है. And it's like 45 degrees. So you're like, the last thing you want to do, and this is a job, so the last thing you want to do is do small talk with anyone, you know. No one's interested, neither are you. तुम्हें बस है कि मुझे वो घर मिले, मैं सर्वे करूँ, फिर मैं
घर जाऊँ,
वापस जाऊँ. But even in the middle of the heat, like random people would just come, hey, just sit here, it's too hot, do your work later, just have some water, you know. Like, so those things are still in my mind, which will never happen in Delhi. यार Delhi में कौन पूछता है? Like, why would someone ask कि please आओ आप धूप में काम करो, पानी लो? Like, no one would do that.
Yeah,
so I think all of that is like so different.
I mean, you've also spoken about these people that you worked with and the people who mentored you. You know?
Yeah.
How important do you think it is for someone to find a good mentor, and how in your opinion does one do that? Find a good mentor and work with them. मतलब बहुत थोड़ा tangential सवाल है ये, but मैं जानना चाहता हूँ आपको opinion इस पे.
I think it's so I wouldn't say that I had one mentor कि अच्छा यही बंदा है जो मेरी बताएगा कि मुझे क्या करना चाहिए लाइफ में. There's just multiple people you speak to. I think it's really important just because like, and especially in my context, क्योंकि you don't know what you don't know. I didn't know कि यार masters किस में करनी चाहिए, कौन से स्कूल जाना चाहिए, क्यों करनी चाहिए, is it worth the investment, उसके बाद कैसी jobs होंगी, what should I be thinking of, you know. I didn't know any of this. So other people who had masters, who had experience in the field, they would guide me, अच्छा ऐसे होता है, ऐसे होता है. So I think it's just so important in any field यार. And just like a, you know, safety net कि अगर okay, if I'm in trouble, I know who to go to.
Oh yeah.
And a mentor doesn't need to be about career, right? It can be personal life, it can be mental health, it can be whatever. Like it can just be family issues. जो भी. For me, it was more like, and your second part of the question of how do you select a mentor, like you just need to have an equation. Like as long as, even if the person is the most well-rounded, experienced, and like is a Nobel Prize winner in that field, but you don't have an equation with that person, there's no point.
हाँ,
like,
तो वो नहीं चलेगा.
Like mentoring is a very selfless thing. Like I don't give them anything. So you need someone who's actually willing to invest अपना time और effort आपके development में. तो जिसके साथ भी ऐसा होता था मेरे साथ, like it can just be one conversation. I would just ask them, most people are helpful if you're nice. Like I would, like, if people ask me, hey, what should I do, and like if I know that they're not taking advantage of me, like most people would be helpful. And so I think rapport is the most important.
I get what you're saying. Makes sense. Tell me, क्या समझ में आया मास्टर्स करने के बाद? बिकॉज मेरा अभी पिछले साल ख़त्म हुआ है मास्टर्स. मैं अभी भी कंफ्यूज हूँ कि इस मास्टर्स डिग्री का मैं करूँ क्या. मैं कर तो आया हूँ मास्टर्स अब जाके, पर मैं उसका करूँ क्या? प्लीज़ गाइड मी, प्लीज़ बी माई मेंटर या मोहक. यू हैव गॉट सो मेनी डिग्रीज, प्लीज़ गाइड मी. क्या होता है मास्टर्स करके?
यार मेरी मास्टर्स वाज डिफरेंट, यू नो. लाइक इट वाजंट, सो आई न्यू गोइंग इनटू द मास्टर्स कि इट्स अ वेरी स्टैम्प डिग्री. बेसिकली मुझे स्टैम्प के लिए डिग्री चाहिए थी, नॉट इन टर्म्स ऑफ द एजुकेशन. क्योंकि डेवलपमेंट इकोनॉमिक्स में क्या है, बहुत सारी जॉब्स हैं जो मुझे करनी थी, उनकी प्री रिक्विजिट ये होता है कि तुम्हें मास्टर्स चाहिए. ठीक है, तो मेरा लॉजिक टू बी ऑनेस्ट ये नहीं था अरे मुझे क्या कितना सीखने को मिलेगा. लाइक माई entire idea was, ठीक है, I need one to get the kind of jobs that I want to do. ठीक है, so it was a very
carefully planned means to an end. Very carefully planned.
It was a means, like it wasn't like, oh देखो क्या सीखूंगा मैं, and it will broaden my mind.
You will be surprised. Most people do their masters and MBAs just for this purpose, ताकि उनको better jobs.
Exactly.
I don't know anyone. I think I can't recall anyone who has done a masters just for the sake of learning. मेरे मास्टर्स करने का लॉजिक बस यही था. I've done my masters in digital humanities, specializing in digital assets and media management. I did my undergrad in literature I worked for 3 years in a fintech startup. So I had no correlation between what I studied and what I did. तो मुझे उसको मैरी करने के लिए अपनी मास्टर्स करनी पड़ी. So even I can't go out and say कि यार मैंने अपनी मास्टर्स ना बस सीखने के लिए करी है. But the next one that I'm going to do, that is specifically going to be for something that I want to learn. वो रियलाइजेशन मेरे को एक डिग्री करने के बाद, थोड़े पैसे फूकने के बाद फिर याद आया कि हाँ ये पढ़ने के लिए भी करना चाहिए. बट अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल डोंट शेयर दिस सेंटिमेंट अबाउट वांटिंग टू लर्न. व्हाट डू यू थिंक?
Yeah. Like doing a degree to learn?
Not doing a degree, bus just having a desire to learn. Yeah. For example, your content is more around the infotainment side.
Yeah.
But would you agree if I say this, that if it did not have a political or a news-based angle to it, most people would not be as interested as they are now?
No, I wouldn't. I think there are a lot of content in Hindi, in English that is non-political but is making really good videos, informed. Like I think US is a very mature content creator, like a content market. तो उधर तो हर तरीके के channels हैं.
Indian context?
English language. India में भी यार, if you look at I was just looking at this channel today only, Think School.
Oh yeah,
which is like in English.
He's been popping up. Me and Jay were also discussing him kal parso. But he's doing a good job.
So उसका कुछ politics नहीं है. It's just like businessy thing. But like and like unlike say finance YouTubers, तब तो है कि अच्छा मुझे अपना पैसा कर डालना है. So that's a very self-oriented goal.
Selfish है वो तो, बहुत ही selfish है.
पर this one, like people are watching the content, really nice content, and it's non-political infotainment. So I think there is appetite. There's a lot of appetite here. I feel in India for
there's an appetite for learning. But
ये
तो YouTube learning हो गई. It's still got that entertainment angle to it. कि आपको 15 मिनट का वीडियो दिख गया, 15-20 मिनट ऐप पे आपने वीडियो देख लिया. It just happened to be something that gave you something rather than taking away your energy and your mental peace.
I think in terms of like broader things, like just beyond a YouTube, like the only reason that I can think of is like I feel in India learning is still like learning as leisure is still a luxury in many ways, right? Like for most people, if they're struggling for jobs, like you just want to do things that can get you a job.
Yeah.
So I think like I can do a degree just to learn because I have the safety net. I have the financial safety net. Also, I have other degrees. Ki agar, even if I just do something, I can do, I don't know, digital rights. I have no, maybe there's no job, or I can do literature just for the sake of it. But I know कि at least मुझे फिर भी job मिल जाएगी किसी भी तरह, क्योंकि मेरा background ठीक ठाक है. Maybe like other people just don't have that luxury.
I would disagree.
That would be my guess.
I would disagree there slightly in the sense कि यार I genuinely believe that learning is a pathway or a rite of passage for you to do better in life. Most people that I interact with, or most people that I have had this sort of a conversation with, कि यार तुम learning क्यों वैसे नहीं करना चाहते हो? The argument that they give is quite similar कि यार हम मतलब जॉब वॉब ढूंढने पे फोकस कर रहे हैं, फाइनेंशियल स्टेबिलिटी ठीक करते हैं अपनी, उसके बाद सोचेंगे लर्निंग करने का. But I've realized it's a vicious cycle. You just get stuck into this whole cycle of you want to do better just by upskilling or not upskilling but upscaling your job, your income, your paycheck. But I honestly believe कि यार उसमें एक learning वाला अगर तुम angle कहीं से घुसा दो, if you try to educate yourself, if you try to upskill yourself, then the other part automatically becomes easier for you to upscale your lifestyle.
Yeah, for sure. Like if I were to act as a devil's advocate, like you can argue that, say, if I want to learn, I don't know, say psychology, but like I love psychology and I want to learn, but like realistically, and say if I take a loan, like realistically, can I pay off that loan with whatever jobs I'll get after doing psychology? That's the only counter argument I can think of.
Very nice argument, because मैंने अभी पिछले महीने नहीं 2 हफ्ते पहले MA साइकोलॉजी में एडमिशन लिया है, क्योंकि मेरे को बड़ा मन था साइकोलॉजी पढ़ने का. एंड द आर्गुमेंट है विच यू मेकिंग कि लोन लेके पढ़ना चाहिए. मैं तो डिस्टेंस लर्निंग कर रहा हूँ. मैंने घर बैठ के यूट्यूब वीडियोस बनानी है. मेरा कॉलेज मेरे घर से 2 किलोमीटर दूर है, जो भी सेंटर है. So the argument there falls apart. If you just want to learn for the sake of learning, there are so many options for you that you can't at this point say कि यार मेरे को लोन लेने में दिक्कत है मेरे पे. The only argument you can make is कि मेरे पे time नहीं है.
हाँ, yeah.
And that in my honest opinion, if you are fresh out of college, or if you don't have any family commitments, if you don't have any big financial limitations or burdens, is not a valid argument.
Then, like you can, if you really want to learn, you'll. No, I agree with it. Like if you really want to learn something, you can take out time. Like.
And I genuinely believe कि अगर तुम सीख रहे हो तो तुम upskill भी कर सकते हो. Yeah, it's all about prioritizing. Tell me, how do you prioritize in life? I mean, I'm sure you are a busy person. You make so many videos. What is your upload schedule, Abhi? Or do you have an upload schedule?
Try to aim for... No, I don't have, let's say, like every Monday at this time I release. I don't have that. But like overall, I would try to release 6 to 8 videos a month.
Which is fair. 2 videos a week. Fair enough.
On average.
What does that process look like? Walk me through your YouTube process when you started versus now. The arc.
I mean, so there are 3 parts, right? So there's research, shooting, and editing.
And you do it all by yourself? Or do you have a team?
No, I have a team. So I have a team of researchers, and then I have a couple of researchers and then a couple of editors.
Okay.
Shooting hasn't really changed. Like 2 घंटे लगते हैं मुझे usually एक video. Like I hate shooting. That's the worst part.
Why?
I feel of making a.
Why do you hate shooting? It's the best part. No, I mean, मेरे लिए, for you it can be different.
I absolutely hate.
Why so?
It's, I don't know. I feel. I don't know. It's just like with the light and like you have to take care of the technicals. Like, oh, is the audio okay? And then you find out in post-production, shit, I did that mistake.
तो देखो इसका तो बहुत सिंपल सा सोल्यूशन है. आई मीन अनलेस यू वांट टू हैव एकदम ही प्रॉपर 110 लेवल का प्रोडक्शन क्वालिटी, देन यू हैव टू वरी अबाउट इट. बट इफ इट्स ऑल अबाउट मेकिंग वीडियोस, देन मैं अपने वीडियोस आज भी आईपैड पे शूट और रिकॉर्ड करता हूँ बिकॉज इट्स जस्ट सो कन्वीनियंट. आईपैड लगाओ, माइक कनेक्ट करो, रिकॉर्ड हो जाके काम चल जाएगा. अभी मैंने कैमरा लिया, दैट्स ऑल्सो वेरी कन्वीनियंट बिकॉज कैमरा आराम से रिकॉर्ड कर रहा है, मेरे को दिख रहा है. दैट प्रॉब्लम ऑफ हैविंग अ टेक्निकल डिफिकल्टी कैन बी सॉल्व विद ऑप्टिमाइजिंग योर gear. If you what is the other problem? मैं ये कह रहा कि gear अच्छा लेना है, मैं कह रहा हूँ gear optimize करना है.
हाँ, वो ठीक है. I think so that is like I would still find, like me and my team would still find, okay, this is something that we can improve on, and then I'm like, okay, I'll take care of the next time. The other problem I feel is like I'm an introvert. I don't think, like when I talk, like some people gain energy, right? Like they feel okay. But I just feel shooting for me so energy sapping. Like 2 घंटे के बाद मैं इतना थक गया होता हूँ.
No, it's true. It is energy sapping. It drains everything out of you. It does because सामने light है,
like,
camera है. तुम्हें कैमरे पे 10 टाइम और energetic होना पड़ेगा दिखाने के लिए लोगों को कि मैं actually
Exactly. You know, so like sometimes I'm like doing so much research and then immediately it's a very urgent video and immediately I need to go into a shoot and मेरे दिमाग में बस ये, oh shit, I have to get into editing. So it's not like I'm enjoying the process. I just want that output. So shooting is one where I really don't enjoy the process. So yeah, that hasn't changed much. Editing has changed a lot. Like I used to edit on my own pehle. I used to enjoy it pehle. Like I used to observe कि दूसरे YouTubers क्या कर रहे हैं. You know, there were some YouTubers like who were killing it with edits. And I'll try to see. And like YouTube पे कितने लोग हैं यार, they're doing tutorials on Final Cut Pro, Adobe Premiere Pro.
Yeah.
तो मैं वो सब देखता था. But again, like I was never. I didn't like it as much as research. Like research is something that I really actually enjoy the process. So editing, I got then I hired teams, editors, and like now I think they're doing an amazing job. And I just have to give my feedback, but I never have to actually edit it. So it's great that
I'm assuming it's a remote team, right?
Remote team. So
perfect. Tell me, how difficult was it for you to start delegating stuff to your team?
I think initially it's quite difficult, yeah. Because
and then how did that change?
So you have so much control over everything. Now I'm the one doing the research, the shoot, the editing. So I know everything. So it's like I always knew that they can do a better job. What I struggled with is how do I communicate कि मुझे क्या चाहिए. I think so that's where I learned कि how to give crystal clear communication about what my expectations are so that they know. So that is something that I didn't really have कि अरे मैं edit नहीं कर रहा. So like that I was not a control freak. उस मामले में क्योंकि I never like enjoyed editing that much. Like there were phases where I would, पर मुझे like ठीक है, they can do it. And they were doing a better job. So I think the challenge for me was only the communication कि मुझे क्या चाहिए और वो deliver कर पाए या नहीं. In terms of research, like I think yeah, sorry, go ahead.
नहीं मैं वही पूछ रहा था कि how did like I want to know because I sometimes have trouble with this to delegate stuff. I at this moment run about 5-6 YouTube channels. उसमें से जो मेरा मेन चैनल है मेरे को अभी भी डर लगता है कि यार मैं उसका काम कैसे डेलीगेट करूँ. How do I delegate the research for a video that I hold so dear to my own? How do I delegate the editing that I hold so dear to my own? अब तो मैंने काफ़ी काम थोड़ा डेलीगेट कर दिया है. मेरे शॉर्ट्स चैनल इज समथिंग एंटायरली डिफरेंट. निशान मैनेजेस मोस्ट ऑफ दी अदर स्टफ इज वेल. बट अभी मेरे को बस वो रियलाइजेशन हिट हो रहा है धीरे धीरे कि इन ऑर्डर टू स्केल अप थिंग्स, इन ऑर्डर टू ऑप्टिमाइज द प्रोसेस, यू नीड टू हैव अ ट्रस्टेड रिलायबल टीम. And you seem to have managed to find that. So I want you to walk me through that journey, process, whatever.
I think you need to know firstly, I wasn't a control freak about editing at all. So that wasn't the issue. I think research was a much bigger issue for me.
Please go.
How do I delegate that? But I think, again, like I knew कि अगर मुझे and again, like I was doing a job, तो मेरे लिए time constraint बहुत ज़्यादा था कि मैं जॉब ख़त्म करूँ फिर करूँ, तो तब तक वीडियो होता ही नहीं था, मतलब बहुत कम हो रही थी फ्रीक्वेंसी. सो आई न्यू कि मेरे पास कोई ऑप्शन बचा ही नहीं है. तो आई थिंक आई काइंड ऑफ न्यू, आई मीन नाउ आई नो, बट अर्लियर आई डिडंट नो कि मुझे क्या चाहिए. एंड इट्स लाइक अ हिट एंड लाइक यू लर्न बाय doing, kind of like you hire people, you see okay what are the skill sets, then
what was that process
exactly
like?
What you want.
Did you like do proper interviews or did people come to you कि मुझे काम है, आपके साथ काम करना है?
No, so I like created an application form.
Oh wow.
Went through their CVs, went through writing samples, gave them tasks, writing tasks, and then hired. So it was quite a long process. Yeah, but I think research is something, at least for my channel, that can never be 100% delegated, because ultimately, like I feel it's my voice, and like another person can never execute the idea perfectly what is in my head.
Of course, because it's a very subjective thing, right? Your channel literally is called Soch by Mohak. So it is in the name कि तुम्हारा channel, तुम्हारी आवाज़ है, it's your opinion, it's your perspective. Another person cannot share the exact same DNA and the same perspective that you have.
Exactly. And the story that I'm going for, the narrative I want to build. So I think I mean, they're amazing. And so what they do is like they put so we'll first decide on an outline. I will tell them कि ये title है, and these are the things that broadly I want to cover. They will come up with an outline. I will give suggestions, and we will finalize the outline, and then they'll do the research. Then they'll share a script draft with me. I'll take a look. I'll see, okay, if I want additional support, and then I will revise the script. मेरे हिसाब से जो मुझे करना है. And then that's when, and so the end script would always have my thoughts and my reflection on it. They would do the groundwork a lot, and then I would kind of like add the story to it.
Which is actually a great process. That's how, I mean, that's how you retain your voice in the process as well.
Yeah, and you save time by like asking them to do, say maybe like the basics of it. So that has been the process of delegation, and I'm quite comfortable with it. The only thing is like if there is a very urgent video, say the last video was on Taliban, like such a hot button issue, like the earlier you release it's better. So I will not delegate that, because asking them to do something in 1 or 2 days
it'll just take more time. It'll not be the optimal performance or the optimal output.
Exactly.
That I can understand.
तो उसमें मैं अब खुद ही करता हूँ. But non-topical issues, like I always ask them for support.
I was saying it's a very well optimized process at this point, which is quite impressive. I just have one question. which is that अभी शुरू में तुमने बोला कि YouTube you haven't ever treated it as a full-time thing or a job thing. It's always been something you've been passionate about or something which is more like a hobby. Now that it has translated or transformed into some sort of a proper corporate structure, if I may say, how does that feel emotionally? बिकॉज वर्क पर्सपेक्टिव से सब बढ़िया ऑप्टिमाइज्ड है, सब बढ़िया है, सब चल रहा है, एक प्रोसेस सेट है, एस्टैब्लिश्ड है, ऐसे चलता रहेगा. बट फ्रॉम डूइंग समथिंग एज अ हॉबी टू देन टर्निंग इट इनटू अ प्रॉपर हायरार्की वाला चीज़ कि ये प्रोसेस है, ये ऐसे फॉलो होगा, ऐसे रिलीज होगा, हाउ डज दैट टेक एन इमोशनल टोल ऑन द क्रिएटिव पर्सन इनसाइड यू?
It does. I think like because you just have so much more time thinking about YouTube. Like earlier, at least 9 to 7, 9 to 8, I would be distracted, you know, with my job. Obviously, back of my mind, मैं सोच रहा हूँ अच्छा मुझे ये वीडियो निकालना है या इसका कितना पार्ट हो गया, स्क्रिप्ट हो गई या नहीं हो गई.
But at that moment, it's a very exciting thing, right? कि नया वीडियो आएगा, लोग देखेंगे,
and like job खत्म होने के बाद I'll work on it.
It's a different, it's a separate parallel life that you're running compared to your real life at that point.
Yeah.
Now वो दोनों merge हो गए and now this is real life. How does that feel emotionally? Because that is a turmoil that I've been going through as well. And I want to know someone else's perspective on this.
I mean, there are phases of it. Like, I think there were like a couple of weeks where I was just so obsessed with numbers and like growth wasn't doing as well as expected. So I was like constantly thinking about it. But then I just like deleted the studio app of my phone. So I don't keep checking it. That's one thing. And then just kind of like told myself, hey, like I love the research process and I think I love making the videos and I feel people like the videos. So let's just go ahead with the process and like the numbers will come. So I've just been like reassuring myself ki, you know, trust yourself, trust your instincts.
Has that been working?
So I'm not
been working?
Yeah, it has. Like I'm not obsessed about the numbers as much. It's not taking a toll कि मैं रात को भी देख रहा हूँ कि what's the number, सुबह भी देख रहा हूँ. Like I'm pretty happy with it now. Yeah. And I guess, you just keep reassuring. The team is nice. So like, you know, you see them that they are happy working for the channel. And, you know, that's like, wow, you know, it feels so weird कि someone else is like, they're like, one of my researchers messaged me. So like after the video, we have end credits with the researcher's name, editor's name hota hai. So, you know, he messaged me, hey, you know, I showed the video to my family and they were so happy seeing my name on the video.
From their perspective, this is a job that they're doing, which is a very creative and interesting job. From your perspective, it used to be a hobby. Now this has livelihoods of other people depending upon it. Has that realization ever hit?
No.
Acha.
That hasn't. I think because almost all of them are still working part-time. Like they're not full-time researchers or editors. Second, I would not want to think about it because it's too much pressure.
My apologies if I put this thought in your head and this then becomes a whole snowball 5 years or 2 years from now. तो अभी से माफी please.
So that hasn't, but like I feel like I enjoy working with them. Like they're amazing, and I feel they really recognize. They like the videos, they like the content that we put out. So like, it's quite rewarding that way. You know, like other people are passionate about working with you. And,
I agree. It is incredibly rewarding when you see people who believe in what you are doing particularly. B, they want to be a part of it, and C, they're seeing the results come in. They're seeing everything that is going straight forward. The only problem statement bhi nahi hai ye, so the only dilemma is that now at one point this used to be a creative passion. Now this is a creative profession. And that transition is very difficult to do smoothly. More often than not, so बहुत turbulence आ जाता है. I'm glad that तुम्हारी life में वो नहीं आया अभी तक, which is how it should be.
Yeah, I mean, I've been
fortunate
like, एक दो हफ्ते के लिए आया था, but I'm just trying
what was that like?
वही like when I was like thinking about the numbers too much. That was it. But like I feel, I just go back to the process and say, okay, you know, I love the research process. I like the videos that we're doing. I feel they're quite different from what other people are producing. just focus on the.
From your audience, do you get comparisons to say Dhruv or Abhimanyu or I can't think of anyone else for that matter? Do you get those comparisons?
I mean, mostly, yeah, quite a lot. Mostly Dhruv, because I think like our genre is quite.
I mean, genres
similar.
are quite
We kind
similar.
of produce similar like we'll both produce videos on Taliban or whatever political event.
Similar topics, similar presentation. I mean, not presentation styles, but similar video styles. Let's say that.
Yeah. So yeah, you do, which is inevitable. Like सबके साथ हो गया यार.
But how does
I'm
that
sure, like,
comparison?
gaming YouTube-
how does that comparison affect anything for that matter?
It doesn't.
Or does
like
it?
I just feel like because I know there's a lot of difference in what I do and what he covers, how he covers. So yeah, you. I mean, if people say, "Hey, he speaks better than you," which I agree. Like I think his.
I mean, he's been doing
his
it far
delivery style
longer
is
than
a
you
lot.
have, though. That's also an advantage.
Yeah. So then it's like, okay, I should improve my delivery style. But like,
No,
it's never like criticism hasn't really. Like I've learned also how to filter noise on social media. Like most of it is noise, 99%. So you just need to concentrate on that 1%.
How did that realization set in? कभी तो कुछ होंगे comments, because it's a path, rite of passage that every creator has to take, where at first you reply to every comment is good, every comment is motivating, and then comes a phase where every comment is just disheartening, and then you learn how to ignore. What was that process?
Yeah,
When was that?
I don't know.
Like
I think initially, say, I think most overall, like we had a positive journey in terms of comments. Like most comments weren't negative. And I mean, to be honest, I don't remember what was the incident, or was there any moment that particularly changed. But for the time that I can remember, I've been quite good with filtering comments in my head. So like there are people who would say, like, who would start commenting good stuff even before it's been 1 minute since the video.
well, that's
so like you ignore those. Then you ignore people who criticizing, but there's no like haath pe nahi unke
no
aage
meat to it. No meat to it.
So I don't know. Like I've just learned how to filter all of this. I'm quite. So I have like YouTube mein you can give block words. I have like a 500 word list which keeps getting added of like different.
So that is what
different gali
I
and
wanted
different
to.
spelling mistakes of the gali.
वो मैं वही सुनना चाहता था मैं कि ये process, ये realization कब हुआ कि blocked word कर सकते हो. Twitter, I have a 1200 account का muted account list on Twitter. And I think a lot of restricted accounts on Instagram. Because initially, and this is something that a lot of creators and a lot of people in general do, if there's someone who wants to fight with them on social media, they would go fight harder. And the realization hit me quite late कि यार कुछ नहीं होगा इस लड़ने से.
कुछ नहीं होने वाला.
म्यूट करो, इग्नोर करो, आगे बढ़ो, अपने दिमाग का ख्याल रखो. वो इंसान लड़ता रहेगा, तुमसे ही लड़ेगा तो किसी और से जाके लड़ेगा. उसको भी सुनो, लेटर रियलाइजेशन हिट होगी कि लड़ने से कोई फायदा नहीं है. बट ग्रेट, प्लीज शेयर दिस 500 वर्ड का लिस्ट. मेरे पे भी ज़्यादा गालियाँ आती नहीं है बिकॉज मेरा कंटेंट उतना ज़्यादा पॉलिटिकल है नहीं, बट मैं फिर भी लिस्ट डाल के भर के रख दूंगा उसमें ब्लॉक्ड वर्ड्स की. हैज देयर एनी एवर बीन अ पॉलिटिकल, I mean, your content, has that got any backlash abhi tak from, say, a political party or, say, a particular group of whatever?
Not like institutional backlash, not like hashtag trending and all that. Like,
that is also like that's also an experience, by the way. आपके against ही hashtag trend हो रहा है. That means you've made it, and you don't need to do anything else.
I guess there's a while to go because that hasn't happened. Thankfully, fortunately or unfortunately. But no, there's not been like organized trolling or anything. Like people have been like people criticize and whatever, like they troll, but nothing organized.
How much of a role does your particular political bias play in your content?
I mean, like I feel it probably plays a lot of role. Like in just the kind of topics you choose, how you deliver. Like no video can really be unbiased, I feel. So how you prevent it being from completely biased is just that you're honest with all the sources that you're using. कि तुम कहाँ से information ला रहे हो. And so in my description and box of every video, I'll put all the sources that I used. So at least they know कि जो भी मैं बोल रहा हूँ वो कहाँ से आ रहा है. Of course, if you disagree, तो ठीक है. But at least you know कि मैं ये नहीं है कि मैं खुद के मन से बोल रहा हूँ. You know, this has been said by this expert, this economist, or this scientist, or this political scientist, or this politician, whoever. So I would try to avoid my opinion in my videos, like almost nil, and try to use other experts' opinion.
Backed arguments.
But like you can say, hey, I don't believe this expert. Like that's a different thing. Then उसके लिए मेरे पास कोई counter argument नहीं है.
No,
so the only thing that I can do
that's
is
an opinion. That's an opinion thing, right?
The only thing I can do is like be transparent कि इस expert ने ये कहा था. That's up to you if you want to believe or not. So I think that's what I have done to like say whatever, rein in my bias. Beyond that, I don't know.
Have you been into debates and theater in school or college?
नहीं मैं introvert था यार. मैं quizzing करता था.
What is the craziest thing that you have done in school? फिर बताओ. I want to know an crazy introvert story by your standards. School, college, first master's job. कुछ तो किया होगा crazy सा. किसी बच्चे को धक्का वक्का दे दिया हो. क्यों?
Very.
What would you classify in the craziest thing of your life? चलिए यही बता दो.
Of your life?
Yeah. Not just in school particularly.
Or school.
Any time. School में कराओ, college में कराओ. I just want to know the extent of your.
I think it would be very normal by most standards. But
हाँ तो सुनाओ.
I mean, also things that are YouTube appropriate.
I mean, Spotify पे चला जाएगा, काट दूंगा मैं YouTube पे से, कोई दिक्कत थोड़ी है. You don't have to see. This is something that I don't like. Okay, you are now being conscious about कि ये YouTube पे जाएगा, लोग इसको सुनेंगे, तो I have to be politically correct. नहीं तुम बोलो तो मैं नहीं डालूंगा, मैं बातें कर सकते हैं. If you want to get tell me all of the crazy secrets that you have, please go ahead. मैं नहीं डालूंगा YouTube पे. It's not about putting it on YouTube. The intention is never to first put it on YouTube. The intention is always to have a good chat. But सोचो बताओ. I mean we can beep the entire thing out if you uncomfortable.
Okay, why don't I think like no, it's not that I just don't have anything right now in my head. Why don't we continue and if something comes, I'll let you know.
वो ऐसे थोड़ी होता है, फिर तो नहीं आएगा ना वो. If it's not coming to your head immediately, that means either there are a couple of things that are coming to your head which you're.
There no, I've lived a very boring life as you can tell.
You've lived. Yeah, वैसे in my opinion ना, living a boring, very straightforward life.
Oh, okay, I can tell you what's the crazy thing that I've done, but it's not like that not crazy ना.
मैंने ये थोड़ी बोला कि मैं जज करूंगा उसको, ये मार्क्स दूंगा कि crazy की स्केल पे 1 से 10 पे कहाँ रैंक करती है.
I went to Pakistan. I think that's something that I would, whatever you can call it crazy or not. But I always wanted to go to Pakistan because मैंने बहुत I used to read a lot of books on Pakistan's say politics and a lot of fiction also. So I always wanted to go to Pakistan, and obviously you can't just apply and just go. You can't just go there. So one of my friends was getting married, and so that's how I ended up going to Pakistan. And I think just being there. So I took one of my other friends because I'm like मैं अकेले नहीं घूम रहा हूँ. अकेले तो नहीं जा रहा हूँ मैं. So, and he didn't even know the friend who was getting married. So I just dragged him along. But he was also like an adventurous person. So the two of us went to Pakistan. We went to Karachi, Lahore, and Islamabad. And we roamed around on our own. It was like one of the best experiences of my life.
That is a crazy good story. That is a crazy good story that not a lot of people, I'm sure majority of the people will not even try to experience this. But how was it? You sound very passionate about it. Talk to me.
It was amazing, yeah. Like, I mean, I think like the relations between the countries were a lot different back then. There was actually optimism tab ki okay, the relationships will improve. Because tab Pakistan.
How long ago was this?
इसको 3 साल हो गए, 3-4 साल हो गए.
Quite far back.
I think, yeah.
Continue, please.
तो तब optimism था. So it wasn't like, there were no tensions between the countries. And obviously that's the reason why I also got the visa. But it was amazing, yeah. Like you realize like if you go to Lahore, you go to the streets and you're like, dude, this is like Delhi. It's like you can't even tell that it's not Delhi. It's so similar to Delhi. The food, the streets. There's so in Delhi, I don't know if you know, there's a Gangaram hospital, and I think it's Gangaram hospital that I'm
Gangaram,
in my head. हाँ नहीं पर लाहौर में भी I think Gangaram hospital था. And that street looks exactly the same, and I'm like, dude, like I was just, and I'm from Delhi, and my friend is not. So I was like blown away, and he was like, dude, are you okay or not? So like these small experiences, and like you go to a person, and like it just feels so weird that you're in a country that you've heard about
so many things
since you were like born.
Yeah.
You know, like you keep hearing about Pakistan, and you're from their whatever enemy country, and you just slide in, like your people don't notice you. Yeah. Like you melt into the crowd. And then when people ask, hey, where are you from? Obviously accent se pata chal jata hai. Like
बात करने के तरीके से पता चल जाता है.
हाँ, पता चल. Then they would be like, they were so nice to us, and like yeah, like any stranger was nice. It was amazing. Yeah,
so nice. So
back then, I think it's probably very different now.
Good, crazy story. I'm very impressed. You did not disappoint me at all. I'm very happy. काफी अच्छी story है ये. I mean, again, which brings me back to the fact that you've also traveled and lived in a lot of different places then, except for Delhi.
Yeah. So I was in Delhi, studied in Singapore. Then
and you worked in Bihar, then Myanmar.
Worked in Bihar, Myanmar, US.
Then you went to the US. I'm sure you must have traveled around as well.
To be honest, US में इतना नहीं किया था. मतलब US में ज़्यादा नहीं किया था. I've traveled around in South Asia a lot. So I've been to Nepal a few times. Went to Bangladesh, Myanmar, of course, Pakistan because of the trip. And like usual touristy places in Europe with family or friends. But nothing like, oh wow, we've been to that country. Like nothing like France, London. Nothing like out of the blue.
No, but still, your travels. Let me see how I'm trying to put this. I'm trying to ask if travel has had a role in how you view the world, or let's say you lived in Delhi for the first 18 years of your life and then you start traveling the world. How does that, no, not traveling the world as in traveling, but living in different places for whatever different reasons. How does that change your worldview? How does that change the way you look at yourself? How does that change the way you interact with people? All that.
I think I don't think it changed my, like at least I can't.
I mean, it expands the horizon, expands the perspectives.
So consciously I can't think how it changed me. Like I don't know what I was then versus what I am now. So वो थोड़ा मुश्किल है मेरे लिए decide करना. But in terms of like say personal life, like I feel like I've become a lot better at say making friends, at just having conversations with people. Because I was never like a person who would like find it easy to meet new people, to introduce myself. I think that has like the biggest learning for me from like just moving around cities. Because like every year, 1 or 2 years, I would be moving. So like moving to a completely new house. Like I moved to Patna, I didn't have any friends there. You know, so starting from scratch. And I moved to Yangon in Myanmar again, like no friends, so starting from scratch. So I think that was like, oh, how do you like build a life in a new country, a new city, a new culture completely. Myanmar was a completely different language also.
Oh yeah.
So
I think if you think of it this way, when you moved out at 18, 19 for your college for the first time versus the emotions that you're feeling right now when you're moving in a couple of weeks. Unko contrast karo, to I think you'll have some clarity.
Oh around. Yeah, for sure. Like tab to, you know, like at 18 you're also like so conscious about, oh, mere friends banenge ya nahi. You know, like what will people think about me? Will they think that I'm cool enough to hang out with them? Like I think those were my worries going into for college, which I'm sure like most school students will have.
Of course.
You know? And then like just like girls and like all of that is in your head. But now like you're just so much more mature. Like it's more about, you know, I'm excited. I was very nervous in undergrad, but now I'm excited because I'm very sure of myself. कि मुझे चाहिए क्या? I don't think I'm looking for validation as much. Will they think that I'm cool? Like, I don't think that exists. So like, it's just, I think it was a lot exciting in terms of, oh shit, everything is new and like, oh shit, look at that girl and like, oh, I can go party, I can drink, I can do all of that. So like all those firsts are very exciting then. But in terms of like just socially, I'm just a lot more comfortable now.
So do you think is this a age thing or an experience thing?
I mean, both are interlinked. I mean, the older you are, you'd have more experience. But I think, I mean, people can be more experienced also at 21, 22. So
for you, then,
definitely more experience.
Was it an age thing, more experience thing now?
More experience, yeah. And like just, like you're just more settled, more sure of yourself. Like self-confidence, I think like it takes time. Some people maybe are, self-confident at 18. I think a lot of people aren't. You're still trying to figure out your identity and everything. So I think at whatever age you're self-confident, you can just like act as a boss.
Like, fake it till you make it वाली philosophy की बात कर रहे हैं आप. This is a thought that I also. So मैं ना अभी मेरे एक friend का, I mean a very close friend of mine, he's living in Canada अभी. उसका 25th birthday था मार्च में, ठीक है. एंड मैंने उसको बर्थडे पे कॉल किया उसके, एंड उसने मेरे को फ़ोन उठाती सबसे पहले चीज़ ये बोली कि रस्टी भाई 25 का होने के बाद लग रहा है जीवन में ठहराव आ गया है. एंड ही इज़ वन ऑफ द मोस्ट क्रेजीएस्ट पर्सन ऑफ दैट आई हैव नोन. लाइक ही वुड कम टू पिक मी अप एट 12 in the night, क्योंकि उसको शाम में मतलब कुछ सामान खरीदने जाना था, तो मेरे को 12 बजे उठा के ले जाता था. दैट काइंड ऑफ पर्सन. एंड व्हेन दैट पर्सन टोल्ड मी कि यार जीवन में थोड़ा ठहराव आ गया है, देन दिस इज अ थॉट दैट स्टार्टेड ब्रूइंग इन माई हेड. And then when I turned 25 अभी मई में, then I also realized कि यार ठीक है, once you are more closer to say 30, your priorities, your perspectives, your the things that you find important shift very quickly. I don't know, it's something that I'm still in the process of experiencing and deciding what and how I feel about it. But it's a very interesting thought because पिछले एक महीने से in Delhi I've been living with a couple of 21, 22 years olds, both creators. एंड उनको रात में 2 बजे जोश चढ़ता है कि यार बंगला साहिब होके आते हैं, और वो पूछते हैं कि आप भी चलो, और मैं कहता हूँ यार मैं बहुत हो ही आया हूँ अपने कॉलेज में, तो तुम मेरी तरफ से जाके माथा टेका ना, मैं आराम से बैठा हुआ टीवी देख रहा हूँ. एंड दिस काइंड ऑफ थिंग दैट समटाइम्स देन मेक मी वंडर अबाउट माई सेल्फ कि एम आई नाउ नॉट कूल इनफ, कि मेरे को सब चीज़ें करने में मज़ा नहीं आ रहा है. एम आई ओल्ड इनफ, एम आई व्हाट आर द प्रायोरिटीज़. ये सारे थॉट्स चलते रहते हैं दिमाग में. Do you have similar thoughts about?
No, I'm trying to think. I think that's not happening with me only because like a lot of people around me are of similar age, so we are going through that crisis at the same time. But I'm sure, agar koi, if I'm staying or like just spending a lot of time with a 20-year-old, 21-year-old,
of course,
suddenly like I'll feel कि यार मैं कितना boring हो गया हूँ.
Do you not have? Are you not in touch with a lot of other YouTube creators in India?
Not really. Like
any particular reason for that, or just the fact that you have other different things to do?
कुछ हुआ ही नहीं. Like then I think it's also that कि कभी full time नहीं था. So it was like YouTube है तो वीडियो निकालना है, क्योंकि टाइम ही नहीं. अगर वीडियो के अलावा भी कुछ करूँगा, I wouldn't be able to like just manage my job. तो वो था. I think now it's like say you reached out, Prakhar reached out, Shwetab reached out. So during this, I reached out. Dhruv I've known, Abhi and New I was in touch with. And I guess these two only because of like the kind of videos we
similar content, infotainment, yes.
Then I think that's it.
So you're not in touch with a lot of creators. I mean, which is not a bad thing at all. If you're wondering, if
no, it'll be like it'll be cool because I watch a lot of their content.
What do you watch? What do you consume at this point? What do you most consume? Not on YouTube particularly, but generally in life. TV, movies, whatever.
I have a very short attention span, to be honest. Like, अगर तो मुझे 15 minute, and I don't want to commit to something जो मुझे पसंद नहीं आएगा. So like I spent half an hour just deciding, will this be worth my time or not? Which is like completely ridiculous. So I can't commit to like TV show जिसके 5 seasons है. मुझे लगता है there's no way I will watch it, so I will not even watch one episode. Something like that. I've never like I would watch TV shows sometimes, but I've never been someone who would like binge a lot of TV shows. Movies also I'm quite selective. So I think my attention span is just so short. I'll just watch like videos. So it can be obviously like I make similar content, so I also watching similar content sometimes. So like Johnny Harris ho gaya, Vox ho gaya. There's this cool channel, very Tasm, I don't know how to pronounce it. That so there are quite a few such channels that I watch. Apart from that, like my preferences change like every week or so. Like let me look at my YouTube subscription feed also. I'm watching a lot of like I really watch Samir Raina. I find him quite entertaining. So I was discussing with Prakhar also about it. So I watch Irfan Junejo.
Oh, Irfan Junejo. I love Irfan Junejo.
I like Irfan Junejo. I love it. Yeah, again, Scoop Whoop is kind of like my... then I got like due to Samay, I also started watching like not much now. But like say chess base, I got interested in chess. Prakhar also, that's how I started watching Prakhar. Then there's this, I'm sure you know, a Tamil cooking channel which has like 10-11 million views. And it's mostly about meat, and I don't even eat meat, but I just love watching them cook. It's just amazing.
It's entertaining.
It's amazing watching them cook. I watched Peter McKinnon, Daniel Schiffer, however you pronounce it. I find their content so cool, यार. कि कैसे बनाते हैं वो video, so much effort goes into each video. और क्या है?
How much of what you see influences what you make though?
Quite a bit, yeah. Especially like content like say Irfan Junejo or Johnny Harris, like there's so much about quality.
Yeah.
Or like Peter McKinnon, Daniel Schiffer, like you know the kind of gear they use, like the amount of thought that goes into. It's not
you should see the podcast that I did with Irfan. काफी insightful. It did give me a lot of perspective into what I'm doing
Irfan,
on YouTube.
He's like, I'm so inspired by...
Even I am. That is why, I mean, whenever I go, I tell कि वो podcast है, देखो please. मेरे को बोलता है इरफान जुनेजो को हम देखते हैं, जाओ podcast देखो, मैंने करा हुआ है. But no, the question was how much of an influence do these people have in what you make? Not
how you make
in retrospect, as in how much do you try and make a video like Johnny Harris or try and make a presentation like Vox? Sure. Is this a conscious thing they try to do or subconsciously वो fit in हो जाता है?
नहीं यार, like Vox and Johnny Harris have been like the leading creators in this field of infotainment explainer video. Like they have defined this genre.
Yes.
छोटी animations हो या फिर कैसे explain करना है, they have defined this. Like they're like so, it's amazing what they've done, and they're still pushing the boundaries. इतने लोग आ गए हैं, but still they're the leaders. Like that just says how creative and innovative those guys are. Yeah. So amazing. So yeah, a lot of things. Obviously, you don't want to copy exactly what they do, but like there's so much that we learn just from watching their videos. People like Irfan Junejo, just like the attention to. So I like his second channel also a lot, where he just talks about the creative process.
Yeah.
And just about life. So again, like, and his videos are just so crisp. Like the sound effects he uses.
I think the fundamental belief there again is about being true to the process that you have, trying to optimize it, being honest with it. Wo basic fundamental. Yeah. I've seen a lot of people talk about it. I've also spoken about it, but oftentimes you realize that you're only just miming these words. You're not actually believing in those, or you're not actually proactively acting on those. So I think it's their commitment to being true to whatever they are preaching or saying that makes them stand out particularly. It's very inspiring for people like me and you, eventually we want to be in a league that those guys are. We want to be creating content like those guys are. So in that sense, it's very motivating. And then you do try to recreate in some sense what those guys are doing.
So a lot here. Then what were we discussing? Creators. Tanmay Bhatt, find his channel funny, and the second one also I like. And there are quite a lot like cool channels like English, like not non-Indian. Three blue, one brown. Like it makes math videos, which I find really interesting. Like how to explain a very complicated subject so well. Then Veritasum also.
I remember meeting a couple of these British creators. I don't remember their name exactly now, but लंदन में ना YouTube space है तो हमारे इंडिया में भी, बट उसका वाइब बिल्कुल वैसा नहीं है. सो द लंदन यूट्यूब स्पेस यूज्ड टू गेट अ लॉट ऑफ दीज पॉपुलर यूके क्रिएटर्स, एंड बिकॉज मेरे कॉलेज के बाद मेरे बहुत टाइम होता था तो मैं वहाँ जाके बैठ जाता था बस. And a lot of what I've learned about YouTube and a lot of what I've learned about how to make good videos, how long do you sometimes have to go without getting any results, has been from those people. And a lot of those people were people who were making the explainer videos, these education videos. So that learning also is very exciting. There was this one person who was around 70 years old. He started a YouTube channel at the age of 65, 66. And all he used to do was, no, not 65, 66. I think it was his 10th or 11th year doing YouTube. And he used to make videos around breathing exercises. How you can stay flexible and nice. And वो बढ़िया creative से videos बनाते थे. And I think it took him 9 years to get his first 2,000, 2,500 subscribers. And then in his 10th year, he blew up. In his 10th year, he got to around 300, 350K. I was just so amazed the level of persistence that you need to have.
That obviously you know that person wasn't doing it for the numbers.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
He was doing it because he wanted to make videos.
Yes. There was another kid who used to make animation, storytime animations. He was differently abled, and his mom used to come and drop him to the YouTube space where he would interact with anyone in the YouTube staff. And all of these people that you get to then meet who are doing YouTube just not for any कि मेरे को पैसा चाहिए या फिर मेरे को fame चाहिए. They're just doing it because they want to do it. And I am still even after meeting these people, I'm of the stern belief that people who here do YouTube either do it for the fame or the money or both, and then other things come and are built up on top of that. But looking at those people, उनको तो बस बनाना था, उनको बस जो करना था वो करना था. I think it is that kind of people who eventually stand out. Maybe not on YouTube, but I'm sure वो अपनी लाइफ में वो कंटेंटमेंट तो लेके बैठे हुए हैं कि हम जो कर रहे हैं बढ़िया पूरे दिल से
वो उधर नहीं तो कहीं और कर लेंगे. Like YouTube नहीं तो they'll do because it's that passionate about what they do. And I guess YouTube is just a medium for them. It's not the be all and all.
I'm sure a lot of people must come to you and ask you about कि हम कैसे ऐसा कर सकते हैं YouTube पे. How do we make good content? Give us life advice. You've got that big brother vibe that people would then immediately flock to. You do?
Not really. Like
आते नहीं लोग, पूछते नहीं कि भोग भाई हम जीवन में हमारी ये दिक्कत है, हम कैसे सॉल्व करें इनको. Do you not get Instagram DMs or YouTube comments or Twitter DMs for that matter?
I do. But I
you don't
used
respond to them?
I mean, I don't respond to all of them. To most of them, if I were to say.
Yeah.
But like in terms of YouTube, like I just feel like I give them like usual advice that you can get of the internet, which is like, you know, thumbnails, titles. Don't do something that is exactly copying something else. Create your own niche and whatever. But I feel like the most consistent advice that I've given is that don't be scared of just making content. Because that was something that I was scared of. After the video is gone, will my family judge me? Will my neighbors judge me? They will see me and they'll be like, hey, kya bana raha hai? You know? And like it's such a space, like any person who creates content would say you make better content after you make lots of content.
You have to get the bad stuff out before you get to the good stuff. It's true.
So you just have to make content. That's the consistent advice.
And also the realization that nobody actually cares about what you're making.
No one actually cares.
No one actually cares unless they like unless you are able to incite
with you.
Unless you are able to incite extreme emotions within your viewers of whether कि ठीक है मेरे को बहुत अच्छा लगा, मेरे को बहुत बुरा लगा. I don't think they would care. And especially your friends, family and relatives. They don't care.
Yeah, they don't. But ये दिमाग में होता है ना यार, क्या सोचेंगे क्या सोचेंगे.
हमारे दिमाग में होता है. मेरे को लगता था यार, मेरी मम्मी ना
like
व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप पे भेज दिया करती थी, हमारे फैमिली ग्रुप में मेरी वीडियोस जब भी नई नई आती थी 3 years ago, एंड आई शुड गेट वेरी कॉन्शियस कि यार वो देखेंगे, उनको लगेगा कि ये क्या कर रहा है लड़का, ये तो कहता था कि ये पढ़ाई कर रहा है, ये क्या यूट्यूब वीडियो कर रहा है. देन आई रियलाइज कि मम्मी तो आउट ऑफ लव एंड अफेक्शन भेज नहीं है ग्रुप में कि बच्चे की वीडियो चले. जिस ग्रुप में जा रहा है उसमें से कोई भी क्लिक करके देखने नहीं वाला है उसको. द मोमेंट आई रियलाइज दैट, I became more comfortable around कि ठीक है यार, it's okay to just be out there and put yourself within the line of fire of the audience and feedback. The only option you have then is to grow and learn and improve. उस perspective से देखोगे तो अच्छा रहेगा. उस perspective से देखोगे तो सही रहता है. But okay, I think we've been going on for the better part of an hour and a half. मेरा बस 2-3 कुछ genuine से सवाल हैं. What do you think your like, do you plan to now do YouTube full time even? Now that I think of it, it's not a, since you have told कि तुम plan नहीं करते हो, तो MBA के बाद तुम्हारा मन नहीं करता YouTube करने का, तुम छोड़ दोगे. But where do you want to take your YouTube in terms of say quality or in terms of number, the content that you want to make?
I think quality, I definitely want to be known, like I want the channel to be known as producing really detailed, like really in-depth research videos with amazing visuals. I think the research is there, and visuals I think the visuals are also there in a lot of videos. But I just want to be known as like the channel that's doing both at the same time, and
so you want to be known as it has to be about presentation and the quality of the content as well.
Like I feel the research is the main part of our videos, like
it is. I would agree to an extent, but I think presentation also matters a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
Oftentimes you can have ekdam bekar research, and you can still, with presentation, improve it to an extent where it becomes a very impressive piece of work.
Yeah, and just make content on issues that matter. I feel like I just want to continue doing that till I enjoy the process.
Has there been anything which you wanted to make and could not for whatever reason? कैसे पॉलिटिकल बैकलैश आएगा या फिर इशू ज़्यादा सेंसिटिव है?
नहीं, ऐसा कुछ नहीं हुआ है. I think one thing that I haven't done justice to is climate change. I feel I haven't spoken about it as much as I think the issue deserves attention. So I want to like correct that. I want to start talking about climate change a lot more. Yeah.
Well, that's a good thing. It's a good thing. How do you plan to manage your YouTube with your MBA? जितना मुझे पता है, मेरे जितने मेरे दोस्त हैं जो ये क्लॉग्स वगैरह में पढ़ रहे हैं, उनसे मेरी बात होती है, वो तो ये कहते हैं कि बहुत ही स्ट्रेसफुल है, पढ़ाई भी बहुत होती है, काम भी बहुत करना पड़ता है.
हाँ यार, वो है. आई थिंक टू सम एक्सटेंट आई एम स्लाइटली मोर श्योर, क्योंकि मैं जॉब के साथ बैलेंस कर चुका हूँ इसको. So I'm like, it's not an unknown territory doing two things at the same time. Yeah,
it's not an uncharted space for you.
I feel unlike a job also, you can choose when you want to check out and check in an MBA program. Like if I don't want to do extra stuff, I can just choose not to do. Job mein ye nahi hota. Like job mein you have to do whatever needs to be done.
Yeah.
So I can define my boundaries on my own. I think the only thing is in school, like there are just so many temptations in the sense like, hey, your friends are chilling, they're going on a trip, there's this talk happening, there's this lecture that you're so interested in, but I need to release a video. Like I think that battle I need to play in my head. So I think that is the most concerning. I know I can make time. It's just that hopefully like I can not feel FOMO about something while I'm making this video alone in my room. I think that's the biggest challenge.
That is where your 12 years of experience of living abroad and whatever you have done so far is all led up to. How not to party and then go and make a YouTube video. But exactly. I'm sure you'll do it well enough. You've done it so well, so good so far. आगे भी काफ़ी अच्छा ही होगा. But I think on that note, unless you have anything else to add, ask or whatever,